Hi, it's T. Carlson here, and the good people at Vinegar Syndrome are at it again with another one of their great boutique label releases. This time of a movie that's simultaneously been called a brilliant satire with a cult following and one of the worst movies ever made. The movie I'm talking about is Showgirls. This being directed by Paul Verhoeven, originally released in 1995, and it's a movie that's certainly taken on a following of its own despite the negative critical press. I'm going to unbox this release and share my opinions. I do like this ultra stylized cover art that actually speaks for the movie pretty well. Top of the box, bottom of the box, side of the box, other side of the box. You got the Vinegar Syndrome logo at the bottom there, MGM logo up top. And like these other deluxe boxes from Vinegar Syndrome, this one's actually got a magnetic package. So that lifts up and folds open like so. Inside the box, you got some of the adult entertainment ads from the film. Those actually look very nice. At the bottom, you got the flyer for the James Smith private dance. I like how they incorporated that into the package. That actually looks pretty cool. We do have a decent-sized book here. And as usual, there's some pretty cool essays and production photos. Vinegar Syndrome is a label that certainly goes all out when it comes to creating these releases, and that's why I'll pick them up every chance I get. Even if I'm taking a chance on a film that might not be the best known or best received critically. We then have our actual movie case itself in a slipcover. This is very bright, bold, and colorful. Again, certainly indicative of some elements of the movie. This slides off, and under here we've actually got the original movie poster style art. Here's the spine, back of the package. There actually is reversible art on this, but the reversible art is identical to what you have on the cover of the box, so I'm not going to do that here. And then inside the package we have 3 discs. A Blu-ray disc of the film, a Blu-ray disc of all special features, and the 4K Ultra High Def presentation of the movie. And I'll read the summary of the film from the back of the package. Naomi Malone will be a star. She knows it. The problem is, no one else does. Yet. Fresh to Las Vegas with no connections, Naomi takes a job as an exotic dancer at a club named Cheetahs. Showing impressive abilities, her talents are quickly noticed by Stardust Casino headlining dancer, Crystal, who senses an opportunity to bolster her own act. But Naomi won't play second fiddle and soon begins her venomous path to the top, ruthlessly backstabbing anyone who gets in her way. However, karma has a funny way of catching up as Naomi learns that being a Vegas showgirl has a harder and more brutal edge than she'd ever have imagined. One of the most controversial, acclaimed, and iconic films directed by the legendary Paul Verhoeven, Showgirls is a glittering, shocking, tragic, funny, weird, gross, sexy, and staggeringly beautiful epic of what it takes to triumph in the show business. Written by Joe Esterhaas and starring Elizabeth Berkley, Kyle MacLachlan, Gina Gershon, Robert Davi, and Rena Riffel. Showgirls is a feast for the senses from beginning to end, enhanced further by Jost Vacano's stunning photography and Marguerite Palmer and Derek's spellbinding dance choreography. Vinegar Syndrome director-approved color-graded master and featuring a consummate selection of interviews and archival materials, which at last tells the crazy story of its production. I was certainly aware of Showgirls, but I had not seen it prior to picking up this release from Vinegar Syndrome. However, I'm a sucker for going back and looking at movies that have cult followings, have a poor critical reception, and of course, since I live in Las Vegas, I love movies that are set in or have to do with Las Vegas. So checking out Showgirls certainly seemed right up my alley. The film was noteworthy for being the first and to date only NC-17 rated film to get a widespread theatrical release. Unfortunately, it did bomb at theaters, and that's believed to be due in part to the restrictive rating. The movie, despite its not so great reputation with critics, actually had a lot of talent assembled. Elizabeth Berkley, of course, was fresh off the success of Saved by the Bell, and supposedly this was going to launch her movie career, although if you think about it, you don't really hear about her doing a whole lot after this, so again, that might have to do with the film bombing in theaters. And there is a pretty solid supporting cast here as well, including the likes of Robert Davi, who showed up in movies like The Goonies and License to Kill back in the day, Gina Gershon as the rival to our main hero, and, you know, a whole host of others. And I have to say, everyone that they've got together for this movie is pretty good. Unfortunately, a lot of the negative criticisms veiled at the film certainly are accurate. This is a campy, over-the-top film. It's not some gritty, realistic, bitter drama about what it takes to actually succeed as a showgirl and a dancer in Las Vegas. It does feel like it was deliberately made to be over the top. I've even watched some of the bonus features on here, and they talk about how, you know, Paul Verhoeven, who's actually Dutch, directed the film. So it's almost like you're seeing, you know, a foreigner's vision of what Las Vegas would be like. And those comments, I think, certainly have some degree of validity. It's just a shame that, you know, it never quite comes together in a critical sense. And again, a lot of those criticisms veiled at the movie certainly do have valid points. That said, though, the movie certainly has gained a cult following. It's still regularly screened by a lot of, you know, screeners and so forth. And despite all of the negativity, this movie certainly has, even if it's a while after its original theatrical release, certainly found its niche audience. And it remains a cult classic and a personal favorite. Where do I stand on Showgirls? I think I'm right in the middle. I mean, I am a critic myself, and I do have to agree with a lot of the negative criticisms leveled at the film. But at the same time, it does have sort of a campy charm despite that. And I do have to say, there are elements of this film I did enjoy. I will certainly be revisiting this one in the future. It's certainly not one that you're going to want to show to your family, obviously, but I do like the movie for what it is, if nothing else. A critical masterpiece, certainly not, but a campy cult favorite, most definitely. Showgirls makes its 4K Ultra High Def debut from Vinegar Syndrome in this package. I actually pre-ordered this because they had a pretty decent deal on it, and I'd been looking forward to picking it up and finally getting to watch the movie. I'm happy to say that the 4K disc, which of course includes HDR, no Dolby Vision, but HDR, does look very good for the most part. This is not the kind of movie I think is ever going to be, you know, home theater demo material, something I say in a lot of my reviews. But it is a good-looking, faithful transfer of the film, with all these bright, colorful Las Vegas locales and stages. Having that little extra punch from the HDR certainly comes in handy. This is a bold and colorful film, which kind of ties into what kind of movie it is, and I am pleased to say that Vinegar Syndrome's presentation does look every bit as good as it needs to. Again, the second Blu-ray disc that's included in the package has the bonus features on it, and we get several archival and newly produced by Vinegar Syndrome featurettes, including a lot of the cast and crew, and I am happy to say that whether you loved this film or hated it, you'll certainly learn a lot of interesting things from the bonus features that you find on here. And again, since I'd never watched the film before in any shape or form, all of this, including the archival stuff, was new to me. Whether I can recommend this release or not, of course, it really depends on who you are, what your tastes in movies are, and so forth. I mean, I myself love going back and looking at cult films and movies that maybe didn't get the best critical reception the first time around. Do I love this film? Certainly not. But as a camp classic, it was a lot of fun to visit for the first time. And again, I'll certainly be watching it again, largely thanks to this beautiful package Vinegar Syndrome has put together. If you are a fan of the movie, or maybe you're just curious, by all means, pick up this release while it's still in production. I know Vinegar Syndrome, a lot of the time, they put out these nice big deluxe editions with the booklet and the magnetic cases and everything. But then later on, they'll usually do like a more stripped down, just disc-only release. But if you want to get this limited release of the film, I would suggest you act now while it's still in stock. So again, certainly recommended for fans. Are you a fan of Showgirls? Do you think it's one of the greatest films ever made? Do you think it's one of the worst films ever made? Where do you fall in the middle of all that? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content because I'm always posting new videos. And make sure you give this one a like if you found it helpful. I'm Taylor T. Carlson. I'll see you next time.